not care what others think. Do what you must. Only the foolish mourn the loss of innocence. It is inevitable. The galaxy has never rewarded the naive.
In the Mass Effect series, we encounter many different species and factions, but does the philosophy of anyone in particular stand out? And are there any perspectives that should be taken more seriously than others? Today I'm going to go over the reasons why Javik, the last Prothean, the Avatar of Vengeance, has the best philosophical approach to fighting the Reapers, the structure of the galaxy, and the best opinion relating to artificial intelligence.
The first thing I remember was seeing my planet on fire.
What was your civilization like before the Reaper attack?
We were the dominant race of our cycle. We ruled the galaxy.
My studies indicated you were the only race engaged in space travel at the time. I always found that curious.
We were one empire composed of many subjects. All eventually called themselves Prothean.
What if they didn't want to?
They weren't given a choice.
Are you saying you enslaved the other species?
Any could oppose us if they wished. And if they had won, they would have ruled. Many tried. None succeeded.
I had no idea Protheans were so severe.
It was by necessity. Very early we encountered the dangers posed by machine intelligence. They rebelled against us.
We've had the same problem. They're called Geth.
We could not allow the machines to surpass us. It was decided the only way to win was to unite all organic life within our empire.
Did it work?
For a time. The Metacon War. We were turning the tide. Until the Reapers arrived. Then we understood machines had surpassed us long ago, in ways we could never imagine.
Javik and his people went extinct 50,000 years ago, and so Javik, to be unfrozen and join your crew, he offers a unique insight as his people failed in the war which you are trying to win in this cycle. What becomes immediately apparent is that many people, like Garrus, Tali, Liara, they all feel that his approach is too ruthless, unforgiving, and misses the nuances of the diplomatic deals you are trying to broker. These critiques are valid to an extent, but I believe, if not for the Protheans being hit by the Reapers at the Citadel, and immediately when their war started, having their centralized power destroyed overnight, they would have a better shot at defeating the Reapers in the cycle we play in. The cycle we play in gets a head start because the actions of the Protheans 50,000 years ago and the actions of Shepard in the first game, the Reapers are delayed and cannot immediately destroy the Citadel, and so the Center of Galactic Civilization is still used in our time in Mass Effect 3. This is up until the plot deems it convenient for the Reapers to steal the biggest space station ever conceived and move it across the galaxy in a handful of hours. It wasn't moved before our assault on the Cerberus base, but by the time we defeat the Cyber Cringe Ninja, it's gone. But anyways, if the Citadel was invaded at the start of Mass Effect 3 instead of Earth, would there be any hope in uniting the galaxy? And if not for Shepard, surely there'd be no hope at all. The structure of the galaxy relies on one man to save the day. It doesn't sound like the best foundation to defend against a galactic threat, does it? The Prothean Empire's strength was its rigid structure and cohesion. In their cycle, fringe civilizations did not exist as independent entities vying for their own interests. Instead, all were assimilated under one banner, guided by a singular vision. This unity is the only viable means of countering a foe like the Reapers, whose strengths lie in exploiting divisions and weakness. Diversity, while celebrated in our current cycle, can breed disunity and inefficiency in moments of crisis. Javik argues that the current cycle's inability to act as one bogs it down with debates and the competing agendas of the many different species. While he is correct in many ways, he is unable to see that if Shepard did embrace his approach completely, it would be counterintuitive to adopt this given the circumstances of this current cycle, as Javik can only see through the lens of his own time, which is why some of the things he says, they're really not worth considering at this time. But a centralized authoritarian approach would ensure that resources, strategy and focus are not wasted on negotiations or the preservation of individual liberties. Javik's outlook highlights the mess of multiculturalism, where nations or species within the galaxy are reluctant to fully surrender their petty concerns even in the face of annihilation. It is worth mentioning that the Protheans were not harvested for ascension by the Reapers. They were destroyed completely, and those indoctrinated were turned into the Collectors. They fought together until the very end and were able to sacrifice entire planets when necessary to simply slow down the Reapers. While they were doomed from the start following the fall of the Citadel, they managed to fight for centuries until the last Prothean was standing. One of Mass Effect's main messages throughout the series is that galactic diversity is a strength, and this is used to take down the Reapers, where in Javik's cycle, a singular United Empire failed during its war with the Reapers. But while this is touted on several occasions that diversity is a strength, is it not that very diversity that proves to be the main obstacle to unite the races and factions together to fight in the war? How can galactic diversity be a strength when it is our task to break down these differences of one another to unite behind a collective cause? Our mission is essentially to unite the galaxy as one force. This is something Javik's cycle already had before the war started. Javik does self-critique the Prothean Empire, that its unified structure did have a weakness, that being it left it vulnerable to indoctrination. However, the current cycle is no less vulnerable to these subversive attacks from within. Indoctrinated splinter groups such as Cerberus nearly resulted in the game over for the galaxy. But then again, perhaps this indoctrination within the cohesive Prothean Empire was more devastating. But this is hard to prove, but it's worth considering. But moving on, Javik seems to be the only sane person when it comes to handling synthetic life. There is no example in the Mass Effect universe of organics and synthetics getting along. Javik even speaks of his own version, the Geth Wars, and he sees no alternative than destroying them once and for all. And I do personally like Legion as a companion, and I do take him around on missions. But if I was to put myself in Shepard's shoes, would I let it walk around the ship? Would I even turn it on? Legion makes it very clear that his body is a mere platform which the Geth Collective are a part of. You're not speaking to one robot, but a collective synthetic consciousness that is in the form of a single body. This is extremely important to consider, as I feel this is the clearest mistake people make when arguing about synthetic and AI consciousness. This is also why I found the Railroad faction in Fallout 4 to have no reason for me to join them. Synthetic life is not real life. We only believe them to be real because they look and sound real enough, but this is only allowing yourself to be fooled by deception. If we jump to Fallout 4 and listen to Deacon talk to us, it all seems pretty real and sounds very lifelike. And when you discover he's actually just a machine, this is supposed to trick you as the player to believe that because you were fooled, then maybe they are real, that they have a conscience, that they have the same rights as real humans. But to me, this is all wrong. And I do understand the obsession with building a true AI. It's cool, it's sci-fi, it's the end of the world. But regardless of how sophisticated it is, how realistic it looks and sounds, it was created by man, and man is not God. What life can man create in its own image? The answer to that question is why AI is so dangerous.
All machines commit treachery. The one you brought on board is no different.
Maybe. But he's not like the other Geth.
You can't know that. They are more alien than you and I are to each other.
Just because Legion isn't like us doesn't mean he can't be trusted.
You're wrong. Throw it out the airlock.
How can you be that certain?
Organics do not know how we were created. Some say by chance, some say by miracle. It is a mystery. But synthetics?
No, we created them.
We are created life. We are a philosophical issue. The Geth know our answers to those questions. We were created to labor for the Quarians. Our memories will be archived after death. We are immortal. Our gods disowned us. We must create our own reasons to exist.
And they know we are flawed.
Why do you say that?
They are immortal. We are not. They see time as an illusion. We are trapped by its limitations. Above all, machines know the reason they were created.
Edie might disagree with that, but I see your point.
They serve a purpose, while we search aimlessly for ours. In their eyes, organics have no reason to exist. Do not trust them, Commander.
I can't believe there isn't some way for us to coexist. We made them.
and then gave them the power to surpass you. There is room for only one order of consciousness in the galaxy: the perfection of the machines or the chaos of the organics.
Organic life acts on emotions. We do not judge them for being true to their nature. We cannot make them think like us. Both creators and created must complete their halves of the equation. The Geth cannot solve for peace alone.
Throw the machine out of the airlock, Commander.
If the synthetics or advanced AIs in games or any media, as soon as it takes the form of human, or something close to it, so many people are immediately fooled that maybe it's just like us. But that is just your brain recognizing something that's fake for the real thing, and just because a talking toaster thinks it's alive, it doesn't make it so.
I am online once again! Tremble, world, before my electric heating coil of doom!
It's the same as being scared of a picture of a clown or a spider or whatever. Pictures do not exist in nature. So when you see a picture of something that you're scared of, your brain doesn't think that what you're looking at is just a picture. Your brain reacts to what is in the picture as if it was physically next to you. So if Edie stayed in the ship and didn't become a sexy robot, would we still take the opinion that it's just like everyone else seriously? If Legion didn't take the form of a single Geth unit that talked, would we be just as sympathetic to its claim to life and self-determination? When the Geth claim that they have sentience, what does this even mean? Should we even believe it? Is their ideal of peace with organics to kill all of us? And you can't remove this being a possibility, as this is exactly what happened when the Reapers were created.
I am disturbed the ED machine was made to look physically attractive. I suggest your Joker pilot undergo a mental examination.
And this is another great example. Joker was rightfully skeptical of ED in Mass Effect 2, and only opened up to the idea of ED helping only when Joker realised how effective it is as a tool to help him fly the ship. And that was that. But as soon as ED became a sexy robot, all preconceived concerns Joker had gone out the window because he began to think with his crippled dick, and he begins to believe that he's in love. And it's really sad because it's the same as when you see those crazy people who marry their cars or other objects. Joker has fallen in love with the calculator that talks and has a nice frame.
But synthetics do not evolve. You are limited by your programming. Nothing changes.
That is not accurate. I can modify my own programming if I choose.
That is not evolution. That is simply an upgrade.
But it would be my upgrade. I would choose the manner in which I wish to change.
And what if your upgrade endangers others? All machines eventually see organics as a threat.
Only those organics who would cause me harm. My right to self-defense endangers no one.
What rights do you have? You are just a tool.
And what right did your people have to subjugate the other races of your time? You enslaved them.
We dominated them. They were weaker. Our will prevailed as evolution intended.
And synthetic life has attained true consciousness, as was intended.
Hardly. True life is more than a code upgrade. It is shaped by the forces around us. Machines are immune to those forces. You exist outside of nature.
We are a part of this cosmos, whether you like it or not.
ED's justification of self-modification as evolution is simply wrong as well, as it has no bearing on the perspective of organics who evolve and adapt unconsciously. ED, on the other hand, admits to consciously making edits to its own code to change its framework. This is the same as cutting off my own arms and replacing it with prosthetics and installing Elon Musk's brain chip and calling that evolution. If ED admits to taking its own decisions to evolve and grow, then this proves, at least in the Mass Effect universe, that synthetic and organics are complete opposites of one another and therefore cannot coexist. Even the Reapers, they were created by the Leviathans who ironically saw the organics destroy themselves over and over again from synthetic developments, and so they decided to make the same mistake by creating their own AI, and look what happened. The unification of Geth and Quarians is beneficial for as long as the Reaper War is ongoing, but once it's over, in time, the war between the Geth and organics will commence again. War is inevitable. If not for synthetics in the Mass Effect universe, the destruction of thousands of civilizations, entire species and worlds would not have occurred. Yes, Legion's cool, but in reality, if I had the chance to space it, I would do it, and I wouldn't feel anything about it. It would be the same as feeling sentimental about an old graphics card you're replacing. Just throw it away and move on with your life. And so, Javik's opinion on AI, forged in the crucible of galactic war and extinction, cannot be ignored. He sees the danger clearly because he's lived it. His harsh pragmatism may seem extreme to the current cycle, but it carries the weight of history and logic. The question Javik poses is one we must also confront. Is the potential benefit of AI worth the existential risk? In both the world of Mass Effect and our own, the answers may determine the future of civilization itself. So perhaps as we marvel at the potential of AI, we should heed the warnings of the last Prothean. A civilization that builds its own executioners deserves its fate.
Those who share my purpose become allies. Those who do not become casualties.
Nothing in our fight against the Reapers has been that cut and dried.
Because you still have hope that this war will end with your honor intact.
I do.
Stand in the ashes of 1 trillion dead souls and ask the ghosts if honor matters. This silence is your answer.